That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Sippin' With Sin. It is a red solo cup type of day. We are sipping out of that because we can. It's Spooktober. It's spooky season. That's right. I'm going to yell. I'm going to get you excited. It's my favorite time of the year. It's the best time of the year. I will die on that hill. You can't argue with me. I don't care. Spooky season is upon us. It's the best time. And we're here with another fun-filled episode with lots of topics and stuff to talk about. And with that being said, we're going to bring back our esteemed colleague, the one, the only, Christian.
What up? You caught me mid-sip of my beverage.
Mid-sip. See, that's perfect timing right there. Get you mid-sip.
Man, I was having a good old
Could be like
sip.
mid-piss, though.
Ooh.
Could have like caught you mid-piss, and then you just don't know what to do. Do you just try to cut it off? Do you keep going? What do you do? You know, it's that age-old debate. Do what?
It's too late at that point. I think you just keep going.
Yeah. It's like if someone catches you peeing or something, you're just like, screw it. It's going. Speaking of peeing, I don't know. My brain works in weird ways. So whenever I worked at, I'm not going to say the place, but I worked at a retail store. And
Please say the place.
Do what?
Please tell us the place.
Walmart. I worked at Walmart.
Okay.
Years ago. Okay. And I worked in the garden area. And I went outside to like their little patio area and I was doing something. And it was not like, I don't know. But I went outside. This was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon or something. And there's this kid just pants, down around his ass. And he was just pissing on the patio. And I was like, oh. All right then. Man, I just turned around and walked off. I was like, I'm not dealing with that. Just letting it fly. Just over there by some lawn chairs. I was like, well, okay, whatever.
You didn't even.
They have to water the plants or something, or they got a hose out there. We'll take care of that later. Like, I'm not dealing with this shit right now.
And you're better than me because I would have been like, hey, fuck off. Like, I would have definitely.
I mean, it was literally a kid. Like, this kid was pretty young, but I mean, he was old enough that he was like by himself. That or his parents just didn't care. But he was just pissing a river.
Was he younger than Was he younger than double digits? He wasn't even 10 yet.
Was he younger than what?
Was he younger than 10? Was he in double digits?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay. Then it makes more sense. I thought when you said a kid, I'm just assuming this kid's like a preteen
probably
or
like 7, 8. I don't know. I mean, old enough that he should have known, like, go to the bathroom. Don't just piss. Like, you're not even fully outside the parking lot. You're in, like, that patio area that's, like, caged in. I was like, you didn't even make it all the way out there.
Just drive by and watch you piss. That's weird.
He just, like, was right there. He just walked over there and just dropped him and was just going. And I was like, okay, I'm not dealing with that. I turned around and walked back inside. I was like, I'm not dealing with this shit right now.
Kids are strange, man. Like, I mean, I guess if nature was really calling at that time, like, what could you do? But
you ever went in the bathroom and, like, an elderly person has their pants, like, literally around their ankles in a urinal?
I don't think so.
Dude, I have. That's happened also in Walmart. There's some weird stuff that's happened in Walmart. And I was just like, all right. I mean, ass just hanging out, just letting it rip, pissing in the urinal.
Just double cheeked up in the bathroom.
I was just like, insane. Okay, whatever. I mean, what do you do? Like, okay. All right, yep, that's how we started the podcast. But as we like to normally start the podcast, not talking about people urinating, we like to talk about what we've been watching, listening to, playing, and reading lately. So we'll get right into that with Christian, what he's got going on.
Well, good question. It's been a busy week for me in real life, thanks to work. But I did watch a couple things. I did watch a film on Netflix called The Devil Below. And I don't know. I didn't know anything about this film going in. I just decided to give it a shot. It was like a smooth 90 minutes. And I gotta be honest with you, even though that film was an hour and a half, it felt like it was 3 hours. That was one of the most boring movies I've ever watched in my entire life. It had one actor in it that I really like, and he's in a bunch of stuff. And now that he's in the newest Halloween. He's the cop that got stabbed by Dr. Sertain with the penknife, and I can't remember his name right now. Hawkins, I think. Deputy Hawkins.
Yeah. Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the movie, but like not even he could save it. He's not in the movie long enough for it to make a difference. He's in like the first scene and then the last little piece of the film. It's kind of, so this movie, I'm not even gonna go over the plot because when I tell you this movie was fucking boo boo shoes, like I need you to understand that this movie was boo boo shoes. It was trash. So this film, like all I can tell you is that it seems like some people saw the movie The Descent, which is a masterpiece of horror, and they were like, "Yeah, we could totally make that with a budget of about $2,000," and that's what you get. It's not good.
Two thousand
It's not good at
dollars.
all. $2,000, and I'm
We can
I'm,
make
I'm
that with
telling
some
you,
chewing gum and fishing string
yeah, we
and a
just need
Polaroid.
we need a guy to crawl around in this white dweller suit. We need a couple of people to get eaten, and we need somebody to hold the camera. That's all we need. Like this movie was just not good, man. I'm telling you. So anyway, don't waste your time doing what I did and watching this movie, The Devil Below, on Netflix. It's garbage. Aside from that, I did watch another film that is fantastic, and that movie would be The Witch. I love that movie.
Where did you
I
watch
know a lot of
that?
people
Where did you
pronounce it.
watch it on?
It's streaming currently on HBO Max. So if you
The
want to watch
Witches?
it now,
I
it's on
haven't
HBO
seen The
Max.
Witch yet, and I need to. That's one I've been wanting to watch in the last couple of
Jesus.
years. I've had it like marked, and then I've dropped the ball and not watched it. So I need to watch that.
It's definitely on the list for me. It's an A24 film, so if that tells you anything, you kind of know what you're getting into when you watch
And
something
then it's
like
got
that.
the main actress is from oh God, what is that movie I watched recently? Northman,
Yeah,
right?
Anna Taylor-Joy is definitely in that.
Yes.
It's fantastic though. I did watch that, and to just drop a little bit of news on the listeners, I did watch that movie for casual viewing, but also as a little bit of research because I recently dropped a side podcast with my partner, and it's called Horrorverse. That can be listened to on Spotify. Our first episode dropped as the time of this recording. It dropped yesterday. So, to all the listeners, if you want to check out my new side project, Horrorverse, it is definitely available. I will send the link to Sin here so he can put that in the show notes as well.
Go.
But aside from that, of course, no.
I said go. I was
love
gonna say go.
Oh,
Go subscribe and rate it 5 stars and show it some love.
yeah, but
I
I would
was
love
being
it. Like,
nice,
honestly,
and you said
guys,
no. I mean, I can be the ass.
it sounded
No.
like you said
Don't
no
go
to
listen
me.
to Christian's
Like,
podcast.
come
No.
listen to guys. It's fun. It's fun. It's
It
just
has
it's a lot
candy,
like this.
and it's in a van, and there's puppies.
Oh God. It's a lot like this. We talk about a different movie each episode and our experiences with it. So I think you guys would like it. Show it some love. And I will say I'm very active on our socials at Horrorverse Pod at all the socials. I'm super active on Twitter and Instagram. So pop in, say hi, show me some love, guys. I'll definitely respond to everyone. And I'll give the first couple of people who do pop in a shout out on the next episode as the time it's recording. So aside from that, I did watch some more Smallville. I am now on season 6 of Smallville. It's hard to believe that I've been binging Smallville while doing work on the side. It's the same kind of shit each episode, but I gotta say, this episode, like the first episode of season 6, Lex has been taken over by Zod. So he has all the powers of Clark, and they have a little battle. At the time, when it came out, I'm sure it was really cool and pretty epic, but now it's really anticlimactic for me. But I gotta say, man, like Lana is so fucking annoying as a character. I can't explain to you how it, like I don't hate her because I mean, why even waste my time hating this fictional bitch? You know what I'm saying? But like, she's really annoying. Like, Clark, you lied to me. You won't be honest with me, and I hate when people aren't honest. I was like, bitch, everybody lies. Everybody lies. Not only that, but you're also a fucking liar. You lie about shit all the time when it suits you. You know what I'm saying? And Clark pretty much has to break up with her and tell her that he doesn't love her anymore. And he does this because he's trying to save Lana's life, blah, 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 yada, 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 drama, drama, drama. But I'm watching it and I'm, enjoying it for the most part. But good God. And now Lana's with Lex, which doesn't make any sense because her and Clark are supposed to be 18, 19 in this. And Lex is supposed to be in his mid-20s. So I'm assuming he's 24 or 25 at this point, possibly older than that. And, he's now dating Lana, who was just dating his supposed best friend. And it's just weird, man. Lana just kind of gets around. And I don't even mean that in a bad way. I just mean like in every high school, there was always that one girl who kind of dated a guy and then ended up dating or messing around with pretty much all of his friends. And that's just the way life works sometimes. Not everybody is that way, but there is always that one person. And then the same for dudes. There's always that one dude who's like messing around with all the friend group of a circle. But anyway, so I watched those, and then I was getting ready to watch another film that I love, and this one is an animated film. It's an anime, actually, and it's called Perfect Blue. But I actually ran out of time. I didn't have time to watch that. So the next time we record, hopefully I will have at that point watched Perfect Blue, because that is a fantastic film that I can't wait to revisit. It's a psychological horror thriller, excuse me, and it's available for streaming right now on Shudder, of all places. So hopefully I can get access to that and watch it. But if not, I'm just going to buy it on Amazon because it's 1,000% worth the cost. So if you guys haven't watched it, watch Perfect Blue. We'll talk about it next episode. And that's what I've been watching, aside from what we always talk about. But, let me know.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Sam? What you been watching?
Well, first off, I've played, let me clarify. I attempted to play Overwatch 2, which dropped yesterday. Scheduled a whole thing around it so we could be live for the release. Sat in the queue, did all that, got in, found out none of my stuff moved over from Overwatch 1. So apparently that's some kind of known issue. I hope if I lost everything, I'm uninstalling. I'm just done, because that's way too much time. Like, all my characters that were unlocked, cosmetics, nothing has rolled over. A bit of a rocky launch. Like, you'll sit in a queue with like 40,000 people in front of you, and then it'll just air out, and you'll go right back to the back of the line. And it's just, I got to play some this morning, and what I got to play was pretty fun, but I don't have all the characters unlocked because it's acting like it's a brand new account when it's not, because I own Overwatch 1. I don't know. So I attempted to play that, so that's fun. Free-to-play game by Blizzard. Having issues at launch, but I mean, isn't that kind of how everything seems to go anymore at launch, like any big release?
Yeah, they always launch stuff before it's ready, and then you get these issues, unfortunately.
Frustrating. Very frustrating. Other than that, I have been doing my spooky movies, and I will tell you what I've watched so far. We talked about it last one. I watched It Follows a day early in preparation. I was excited for that. And I've also watched Glorious. That may have been a little early. I may have been premature, more excited. I watched Munsters, the new one, and I kind of wanted to ask you.
How was that?
Okay, so
Tell the truth.
It's okay. So you know how you ever seen where they take the black and white movies? I don't know the term. You may know the term, but when they add color to them, and like people with blue eyes have like overly blue eyes. Mm-hmm. What is the term for that? Do you know what I'm talking about? Where they add color to something that's black and white, or they restore it, or whatever, remaster it with color?
I don't know.
There is a term, right?
Correct term. Yeah, there is a term. I don't know the correct term off the top of my head, but I know what you're.
The show reminds me of that, because obviously the Munsters was shot in black and white. The colors are very vivid and almost like overly. Sherry Moon Zombie is pretty much what we expected. She was so quirky in it and like her mannerisms were like overdone so much and like fidgety that I was like, was Lily really like that? And so I had to go back and watch the original show, because even Mrs. Sin was like, is she just doing that? Or was Lily like that? And then I watched it, I was like, well, Lily's a little quirky, but not to the extent that she was doing it. Herman was okay.
For sure.
Grandpa was okay. So pretty much what it is, just a quick rundown without spoiling it. It's the events that lead up to Lily and Herman getting married and being together, and then moving from Transylvania to Hollywood. And it's like events that lead up to the start of the show of Munsters, because they're already living on Mockingbird Lane, all that stuff. So it's kind of that.
They don't even have Eddie yet, right?
Eddie is in there somewhere. I forget. He's not Eddie. He's like the actual actor, rather, sorry, that plays Eddie is in it somewhere. I forget what character he plays, but he's in the show or the movie.
But like, what I mean is that
The character Eddie Munster does not exist, and Marilyn is also not there either.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So you have from the Herman, Lily, Grandpa. They find Spot. You see how they got Spot, which I actually kind of like that. That was pretty cool. Who else? Herman's creator, who I can't remember his name. The actress that plays Elvira is in it. She's a real estate agent that sells them the house. So that was kind of cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that.
I mean, it was.
Actually, wasn't she in the trailer? Didn't we see her in the trailer?
She's dressed up as a witch.
Yeah, we totally saw her.
It looks like a witch from like Wizard of Oz, like green face paint, nose, everything. Yeah, that's her. I mean, it's really weird for me to associate this movie with Rob Zombie. But I guess this is something like if he grew up and he loves it. I don't know. Sherry Moon Zombie to me was a part that I was like, eh. Like she just kind of got on my nerves. And I also don't remember Lily having powers. Like she would like get mad at somebody and like her eyes would glow and she would like yell and then Grandpa would even be like, Oh, Igor's in it before a bat. Then you see how he turned into a bat.
Nice.
So, I mean, there's some cool stuff, but there's some stuff that I was like, Mrs. Sin definitely didn't care for it. There was a lot of really cheesy, corny stuff, but I mean, also you're going for, when was the show? 60s? When did the Munsters come out?
Yeah,
so, I mean,
correct.
Rob Zombie's obviously going for that style, older, kind of cheesier sitcom kind of style, I guess. So, I mean, you could watch it for spooky season, I guess. Not like something I'm going to go rushing by.
But would you recommend it, though, is what I want to know.
To someone that's not watching Munsters, probably not. Someone that's watched it, I mean, maybe just to see, like I said, some backstory. Whether or not the backstory is actually accurate, I don't know if they even thought out the backstory that much, to be honest, back then. Herman does a little weird things every now and then, but I mean, I mean, I guess spooky season you could watch it. I wouldn't put it near the top of my list. Like if you're struggling to find something, you want something as background, maybe you can watch it. I'm not gonna give it a high praise. I can't. It's kind of what we expected, you know. It's one of those kind of things.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I had to watch it though. I was like, I'm gonna watch it when it comes out. It gave me something to watch to get in preparation, so I watched that. We're going to move on from it because there's really not a lot. I'm assuming you haven't watched it yet?
No, it's one of those films that I don't know if I'm going to watch because nothing about it really seemed interesting when I really tried to dig into the trailer to see like what was going on. But I just wasn't into it, to be honest. I might watch it one of these nights because I don't think it's super long. So that would be the reason why I watch it. And also it's, I mean, I was never like a huge Munsters fan. I did like the Munsters, but like the thing for me is like, there's never going to be another Herman because the guy, I can't remember the actor's name right now, but he was Judd in the original Pet Sematary film. But like, you're not going to redo him. There's no way. Right. Yeah. So I'm not expecting that. But I mean, Rob Zombie isn't my favorite director. He's not my first choice to make a film like this either. But we'll see, man. Like, I would totally watch it and see what's going on. I just don't know how soon I'm going to do that. So we'll see. I might. You know what? I take it back. I will absolutely watch that movie this weekend because I'll have my son with me, and
it's a clean movie. Yeah, you could totally watch a kid with it. If you need a movie for a kid for spooky season, there you go. It is clean. I actually don't know if there's any language in it, and there's no blood, like there's no like violence. It's all like humor and lighthearted.
Absolutely. So
which is totally very different for Rob Zombie too.
I did forget to mention another film really quickly, and I'm throwing this in real fast. Another film that I did watch over the weekend, I completely forgot to mention earlier. I watched Hocus Pocus 2 that's on Disney Plus right now.
I haven't seen it. Mrs. did. I haven't.
So what I can say is this: I'm not like the biggest Hocus Pocus fan, but I do really enjoy the first one. I've seen it so many times. That's why I'm not like a huge fan of it anymore because I've just seen it so many times. Um, but I can say this: watching that film, I loved almost all of the scenes with the Sanderson sisters just because it was nostalgic. I really enjoyed seeing them on screen again. Everybody's definitely older. Some people have lost weight. Some people, you know what I'm saying? Like nobody looks exactly the same, but they did a good enough job as they could with just makeup and not, overly CGIing people. So I really respect that portion of it. But here's the thing. Half of the movie was garbage for me. And the half of the movie that I'm referring to is the half that has to deal with the kids, like the new main characters that we're following, the teenagers or preteens, whatever you want to call them. Like I really, really, really didn't like those characters.
Oh, now
And
who's disliking kids this week? Last week I got ridiculed for Chucky kids. Now look at you.
but it's different. So the Chucky kids, you hated them, even though like we got like we got some pretty good motivations for these characters. Like Lexi hating her and Chucky, totally understandable. She starts to redeem herself later on and starts to become a likable character, but I can totally understand people still hating her because she is a piece of shit. I'm not gonna lie. But these characters in Hocus Pocus 2, they're just not believable at all. One of them is like, and I'm telling you, they telegraph this shit the first time she's on screen. She's very obviously a witch, and they just like ham it the fuck up because this movie is just it's made like a Disney Channel original movie and not like a Disney Plus film or not like a feature length film. So the new characters were just really, really annoying. One character is like astray from the other characters because she has a new boyfriend and she wants to be cool. I just didn't buy that shit at all. Her boyfriend was a parody of every kind of like jockey boyfriend ever. Dude, it was sad, is what I'm getting at. It was sad, but the parts with the Sanderson sisters, they were fine. I liked them. Of course, they hammed it up with a new song in this movie, and I didn't really enjoy that portion because how it, there's a lot of pop culture references in this film that you get from the Sanderson sisters themselves, but like how would they know these things because they weren't alive when these events happened or when these movies popped up or whatever. And then there's moments where they do things and it's hilarious. There is a scene in a fucking Walgreens that I can't lie, I enjoyed. I really liked the part in Walgreens a lot. But with all that said, is it worth a watch? Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. So if you have access to Disney Plus, definitely give it a watch. It's not something that I'm going to rush and watch again. I'll watch the first one before I watch the second one. But all in all, it wasn't terrible. It was an enjoyable watch, but I got exactly what I expected from it, which was, some cheese. And it's definitely cheesy, but I didn't dislike it. Totally worth a watch. But the first one obviously is better. There was no way they were going to outdo themselves from the first one. With that being said, that's, if you have kids and you want to watch something that gives you a little bit of nostalgia and something that you don't have to pay that much attention to, totally worth a watch. But yeah, that's what I got to say about that film.
Alrighty. So what else I've watched? We watched Friday 13th, Part 1. And it was pretty fun. We watched that with the Mrs. Mom, who, bless her heart, she was like, okay, is this the one with the babysitters? I was like, no, that's Halloween. And she's like, okay, which one's this one? Yeah, no, like, she was like, which one's this one? I was like, they're at a camp. And she was like, I don't think I've seen this one ever. I was like, really? And she was like, yeah, I've never seen this one. I was like, this is the Jason franchise. And she was like, I don't think I've seen this one. So I was like, okay. So we watched it with her. That was pretty fun. And then I've watched Village of the Damned. And I have watched Salem's Lot for the first time. And that's a long ass movie because it was made for TV in like 1979. It's like 3 hours. Watched it for the first time. They have a remake of that coming up. And then I watched a movie that I had heard about a while back and wanted to watch and didn't watch, and then I saw it probably like a month ago, and I've been waiting, and I actually watched it October 1st, and that is Bad Candy. It has Corey Taylor from Slipknot in it, and a bunch of other people that I mean, I think one might be from Sons of Anarchy. There's not a lot of like notable people. So my initial impression is a B Trick or Treat, essentially, without it
For
being.
Bad Candy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you seen Bad Candy?
I haven't watched it yet.
So like, when I say B Trick or Treat, they don't have like a Sam. There's like a clown, and I wouldn't say necessarily it's going over rules, but it's like an anthology kind of story thing. Like there's different things playing out throughout the movie. And Corey Taylor plays a DJ that's doing like, he's called Chili Billy, and it's like their radio station's like 66.6 or something, and they tell spooky stories for Halloween and like callers calling and stuff. So that's kind of it. I didn't hate it. It's very B. I tend to like B movies though at times. Like it depends on the B movie and like how it is. I like it. I got a lot of like I said, Trick or Treat vibes from it, but watched it, was all right. Mrs. didn't care for it, of course. And yeah, so that's what I've been watching. I don't know what I'm gonna watch tonight yet. I haven't figured that out. I am curious to see how they do the Salem's Lot remake. And
I am too, because I actually enjoy the book Salem's Lot, and
I bet the book
like
is
what they're
good.
gonna do.
The movie to me, because it was made for TV and it's so old, was kind of really slow in parts. And 3 hours, I was like, okay, like
One of the best parts of the movie, the TV movie, is the part with the kid
floating at the
in
window.
the window.
Yes,
Yeah,
they shot
that's
it
like
and
the
then
best
they
part.
played it in reverse to make it work.
Oh, that's how they did that. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, like okay, so whenever he gets to the window, is that what you're talking about? The other kid comes with like a cross to the window and he's like, "Let me in," and he has like the crazy eyes.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, with the yellow eyes, dude.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I watched it. It's actually on that show we were talking about, the 101 Scariest Things. That's how I know that. They actually talked about that exact scene.
Oh, sweet.
But so they shot it, obviously like smoke out and all that stuff. And they shot it like that normal, and then he played it in reverse where the smoke would roll different, and that's how it rolls weird, and they did all that. So it's pretty clever.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, that's actually pretty nice.
But moving on, I have quick news that, I'm not gonna lie, got me tingling in a good way. You know how that is,
Ooh.
Christian. Okay, this news is something I've been waiting with bated breath for these damn news to happen forever. I have watched the original countless times, which used to be just a cult film, and not a lot of people knew about it. And then now, I feel like it's everywhere. Literally, I feel like it's so popular. I've read the graphic novel, which I loved, and it has been said multiple times that once they finish the project, mainly the Project Krampus, Trick or Treat 2 would be coming. Like, it was gonna happen. It had to happen. And damn it, it's happening. It's in very active development. It is officially being announced. God, I can't wait. Because literally, like, if it's anything like the graphic novel, there's other stories. You can take that film anywhere. Because Sam is just the spirit of Halloween. So you can literally, there's so much stuff you can do. I can't wait. I need it in my life. It better not suck. If it sucks, I don't know. I don't know what I'll do. I'll drop kick something. That's what I'll do. Christian? This is...
I mean, here's the thing. I don't know how to give the listeners my full opinions without just yelling, because I fucking love Trick or Treat. And I actually think you like Trick or Treat even more than I do.
In my horror movie category, if you're like, all right, you can, give me a horror movie you can watch anytime, like at top of your list, you can watch it over and over again and not get tired of it. I'm going to say Halloween, 1978, like the original, and I'm going to say Trick or Treat. It's going to be right there with it. I can watch Trick or Treat any time of the year, and I'll be ecstatic. I like Trick or Treat so much, Sam is actually tattooed on my arm. So is the Halloween logo. But that shows how much I love those like those two.
Feel that 100%.
So I'm excited.
I'm excited, man. That's the best thing I can say without rambling, because I've already rambled today. But I'm super excited. I can't wait for them to show us like a new poster or something for it. That's what I'm looking forward to. Can't wait. I honestly just can't wait. I'm just excited.
All right. Well, what I believe is our next topic, I believe, is House of the Dragon. At the time of recording, sadly, She-Hulk, the latest episode, has not come out yet. So the next two episodes will probably get lumped together, or at least this episode. So you get a She-Hulk break. And this will probably be the episode that, stuff actually happens. So that's kind of how it goes.
Most
We've had
likely.
like filler
Most likely,
episode after filler episode this week that we don't cover it. It's probably when shit will go down. But I think, is it House of the Dragon time?
It is House of the Dragon time.
Okay, I'm gonna make a comment before you go on your in-depth analysis of it.
Yeah.
You ready for this?
Ready.
Okay, a couple things. First thing, so I cannot remember her name. I'm not even gonna try. Aegon's sister. Do you remember her name?
Mm-hmm. Helena.
Helena?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Helena, I think.
Well, you see her like twice in the last two episodes, and she's being weird, like prophesizing shit over there. Anyways, she prophesized in the previous episode something about an eye and a dragon, or only way you'll get a dragon is to see with one eye, or some shit like that, and which Christian will go over, comes true. That's crazy. She made another prophecy. I don't really remember what she said, but it's gonna be interesting to see if that comes through, because she's different. Other thing, this may be my favorite episode to date.
Oh yeah.
And I say that because in this episode, I feel like you get Game of Thrones at its strongest. While I love huge battle scenes, like Battle of the Bastards and stuff like that, I really enjoy those episodes a lot. This episode is devious as shit, cutthroat, and very political moves everywhere. And I feel like that is what Game of Thrones is really about. Obviously, the Game of Thrones. And I thought this episode was really good. I really liked it. Which they've all been good, but I think this might be my favorite to date. I was trying to think if I had.
I'd have to.
Do I?
Yeah. I mean, it's a really good episode. There's a lot going on.
A
so
lot.
That makes sense why it's your favorite.
I have seen some comments. I don't know that I necessarily agree with them. So I've seen some people saying that Matt Smith and the young Rhaenyra have better chemistry than the older Rhaenyra. I just think Rhaenyra is more jaded at this point of her age. Like, it's not like being naive or something. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I want to see how she plays out. It could be the event. She's mourning a lover because dude's dead, and then he's Daemon that pretty much is going to do one asshole thing an episode at least. You can almost count on it. Like, you can be like, oh, there's just the asshole moment of the show for this episode, and you can check it off. Like, what was it? The very beginning when they're doing the eulogy for his wife. Mm-hmm. He chuckles, and I was like, there it is. There's Daemon. Like, we've got it. We've got our quota for the episode. But with that being said, Daemon has become one of my favorite characters. Because he's an asshole. And he's going to do something bad usually. But at the same time, I kind of love him. I don't know. It's a very weird relationship. Like, at first it's like, oh, Damon's going to be that person that you hate. And then I was like, oh, no, it's going to be Otto. And now it's like, Alicent's really taking that role on. But Daemon at the same time, like, I kind of just accept he's an asshole. And you like him for it because he is who he is.
That makes sense. I mean, it's really easy to like the...
Did you not hate Daemon initially, though? You're like, wow, he sucks.
I didn't necessarily hate Daemon because I had read, excerpts from the book, so I kind of knew what I was getting into before the show started. But he is, as soon as they show you him in the first episode, he is definitely one of the characters that they pose to you that you should dislike, and it makes perfect sense. But there are characters way worse in the world than Daemon, and that's to say you get character. We'll get into it later. But
I think Daemon is violent and he has like those urges. I think you kind of know what you get with Daemon though.
Daemon sucks because he's a show-off, and because he's so much of a show-off, and because he's so arrogant, that leads to other people needlessly getting hurt. So that's not really something that I want to see, but I can definitely see why he's your favorite character. You know what I mean? Like, essentially, if you're one of those people who loves characters like Vegeta or Bakugo, if you know, speaking from the anime sense, or even like Raphael from Ninja Turtles, like, yeah, I could see why Damon would be your favorite. So I
Who would
totally
be
get
your
it.
favorite
But out of Game of Thrones, like he's my
out of
favorite
House of
character.
Dragon? Not Game of Thrones. It's separate thing. Because
Sorry,
Damon's not gonna be my favorite if we go Game of Thrones. Like,
who's your favorite in Game of Thrones?
I mean, Jon Snow, easy.
I feel that. Like my favorite is Jon Snow. It was Tyrion until I like got caught
Tyrion
up
is
on the
number two,
books.
very
Dude, in
close
the
second.
book, Tyrion kind of sucks. But in the show, specifically for the show, Tyrion's a really good character. He's easy to lobby behind.
Yeah,
And so is John. So I mean, I don't
I
think
think
you can go wrong
Arya
with
would
either one of those.
possibly be 3 for me.
That's fair.
Yeah. Okay. So, trying to think if there's anything else in my quick thoughts before you go in detail, because I know I'll like go back and forth with things. I wanted to say something about Eamon, but I'll wait because I know you're gonna touch on it.
I mean, if there's something that you want to say about him now, go ahead, and then I'll
So
just go into.
I don't know how you feel about it, but Eamon in the previous episode was kind of bland. He was getting picked on. He didn't really show any like cojones. He's just kind of like, I don't have a dragon. Everybody's making fun of me. Then there was really nothing. And so like when he got his dragon, spoiler, when he claimed his dragon, he's riding. I was like, damn, that's kind of cool for him. And then he turns into full villain dick mode. And I was like, whoa, we become a man quick. We ride one dragon, and all of a sudden we are a full-fledged man. Like,
I think it's a really good, a really easy explanation for something like that is now that he has a dragon, he feels like he has absolute power. And how does the saying go? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So
yeah.
I think that's exactly what that means. Like none of the high tower children were going to be good people. Well, that's not true. That's absolutely not true. There are definitely a couple of the kids from Alicent that are decent people, but the way that they're raised, and the same for Rhaenyra's children, the way that they're raised like royalty. So I mean, it's hard for them to be decent human beings because of the struggles they haven't had to endure. They don't know how to be empathetic like other people would be. But I agree with you. He flipped almost immediately.
Because it was like a feel-good moment, like never-ending story, riding fucking through the sky and stuff. And he gets out there and they're like, my dragon. And he's like, ain't your dragon now, bitch. Like God, where did this come from? But yeah. Another thing, I'm going to be honest, I did not notice Viserys was missing an arm in the previous episode. And when you brought it up, I was like, really? I was like, damn, I missed that. So this episode, I made a point from the start. I even told the missus, like, did you know he doesn't have an arm? She was like, no. I was like, yeah, he doesn't have an arm. And I was actively looking for it. I was like, damn, he really doesn't have an arm. Like, dude is actually falling apart.
Crazy.
He's like a walking zombie at this point.
Yeah, seriously. He looks like shit.
I'm trying to think for the world. That's some quick thoughts. I know I'll probably think of more as you're going through, so I'll let you begin your analysis. But I'm going to say right now, favorite episode at the moment. Because there was a lot of stuff going on, and there was a lot of cool stuff. I like the tension shot at the beginning with Rhaenyra walking around kind of watching Daemon, and Daemon just being Daemon.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool. And there was a lot of stories and plots going on in one scene with like characters. So, all right, let you take the floor.
Cool. I'll jump in. I'm going to kind of run through this as quickly as I can because I don't want to run out of time like we did on the last episode. But in this episode, in the intro, if you look really hard, it's kind of hard to see, but I'm looking around for all the Easter eggs I can find because I'm weird like that. But if you look really hard, you see that Lenore's emblem is bleeding in the intro, and that's different from the last episode. So I believe that is what we like to call foreshadowing. So you definitely see that. And then the episode proper starts with Lena's funeral, and it's a close-up on her casket, which looks creepy and badass both at the same time. And it's a I'm trying to remember. She's a Valarian, so they return to the sea when they die because they pray to the sea gods. So they drop her casket into the ocean, and then you see
Question.
actually when they drop. Yeah, go ahead.
So since they're so sea oriented, do you think they're in any way relation to damn um Greyjoy? And that yeah, that's the sea, right?
Hmm.
Isn't it Greyjoy? Yeah, you're on
I know.
Greyjoy, Theon Greyjoy, all them.
Yeah, those are the Greyjoys. Yeah, they. I don't think that
Because they're
they're
very
related
oriented like them.
necessarily.
The Drown
Yeah,
God and
they're a little bit. Yeah, theirs is a little bit more proper though than the Greyjoys, but I totally understand the correlation there. 100%. That makes
okay.
perfect sense. So yeah, I totally get that. Then we get a close up of Otto Hightower. He is definitely the hand of the king again, and I remember saying this out loud as soon as it happened. Like, how the fuck? Like, this dude is back as hand of the king. Like, everybody listeners know I don't like Otto like at all. So him being the hand again really sucks. But that's what happened. So anyway, we get that scene. What did you think when you saw that he was hand again? By the way, I was curious.
I honestly expected it because the way it was insinuated last episode with Beetlebug, I can't remember his name, so he's still Beetlebug to me. He was talking about like a hand and like all that stuff. The way they were going, I was like, they're gonna put Otto back. Like they're gonna bring him back to power, so she has that inside person other than herself to like whisper in the ear. Like I fully expected it. So when I saw it, like I saw him, I was like, damn, he's the hand of the king. Before they even showed it.
Okay, okay, that's fair.
Because I didn't think dude would take it. They're not gonna just. I didn't see them moving him up that like
That's
to that
fair.
kind of power that quick.
That's fair. If you noticed, I don't know if you peep this when you're watching an episode, but if you're looking for it, you notice when Rhaenyra walks into the funeral party, she walks in alone, and I believe that that's a callback to her walking in alone to the party when Daemon returned after defeating Crab Eater in an earlier episode. And it's just further showing you that even though she is married and has children and stuff, she's still very much alone when it comes to these types of things. So I was definitely on the lookout for that. And then we see Aegon getting hammered on wine. If you guys have read the books, you know that when he was younger, he loved to drink, and that doesn't change when he gets older. He gets that from his dad, I'm assuming. But he's definitely getting hammered on wine. And then we learned in that scene, actually, you didn't mention it earlier, so I don't know if you caught it or not. But we learn right after we see him getting hammered that he is betrothed to marry his own sister,
Yes.
Helena.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's definitely has to marry her. He's not
Keep
happy
the
about it.
bloodline pure.
He absolutely.
You think
But
she's
yeah,
a
he's
prophet or
definitely.
what is her deal?
I mean, definitely. There's definitely something with her that makes her a little special, right? Like I think that's easy to say.
She
For
has
sure.
like some kind of ability or something. I think I feel like she can foresee things.
I mean, she definitely does have the sight in a sense, and we'll see more of that later on as well. Is if they keep that from the books, that is, we'll see more of that going on moving forward. But anyway, Aegon doesn't like the fact that he has to marry his own sister. Alicent probably did this so that she could decline Rhaenyra's offer from the last episode for the proposal that she did, and I'm pretty sure she did that shit out of spite as well. And it was all about keeping the bloodline pure and blah 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 blah. I'm sure she told that to the king, Viserys, so that he would go along with it. But obviously, we know that Alicent is very manipulative, so that's why she did that. I'm sure. We don't hear that in this episode, but I mean, honestly, if you just listen, that's the reason why these things. So let's see. After that, like I said, I'm trying to go through this pretty quickly, but without omitting stuff that I caught watching the episode. Rhaenyra asked Jace to say something nice to his cousins because they just lost their mom at a funeral. And I mean, he does. He goes over there. He doesn't really know what to say, but just his presence is enough. And they hold his hand and really appreciate him being there. That's the daughters of Daemon, by the way. I'm mentioning for those of you who didn't understand who I was talking about. But yeah, he does a nice thing. He goes over there, and they're friends. And then it's different because in the books, Rhaenyra and Laena were like best friends. The way that their relationship was in the books was very similar to the way that the show, portrayed her and Alicent's relationship. So if that makes any sense for you, I think I mentioned that in the last episode too, but just in case, I wanted to cover my tracks. And then we see that Loras is now the Lord of Harrenhal after the convenient death of his brother and father in the last episode. Then we see the twice widowed now Prince Daemon, and it's really funny to know that he's lost two wives now. They both died, and it's the first one. Obviously, he was there for both of them when they both died, and that's just crazy to me to see. But yeah, twice widowed Daemon. So we see him in the episode finally. Him and Rhaenyra definitely looking at each other. They're peeping each other from the distance, and then we see that as Viserys is going to bed, he calls Alicent by his ex-wife's name, Emma. And I don't know if you caught that or not, but he totally called her the wrong name. And that's just going to show you how much he still loves and misses her. But also, this dude is getting sicker and sicker as time goes by. So
Yeah.
I don't know did you catch that in that scene?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I mean, I totally caught that, and I was just like, man, that sucks. And everybody kind of played it off because they know the king is sick and dying, so they didn't say too much about it.
He's so frail and weak. Like,
yeah, he is absolutely so.
It's definitely shown in this episode too, in various scenes that I'm sure you'll talk about. Like, he doesn't really, when he speaks, he doesn't have that authoritative tone anymore. To like, I'm the king. This is what I'm saying. Obey. Like, I feel like people are going against him because he's so frail and weak at this point too. Which, I mean, not saying he was the strongest king when he was healthy, but it's even worse now.
Also, Alicent kind of runs shit, so
yeah. How many times did he tell people to go to bed in that one scene?
A lot.
Yeah, he's like, go to bed, and everybody's just like, yeah, fucking, we're gonna do what we want.
You could definitely make a drinking game out of how many times somebody was told to go to bed in this episode. That's for sure.
What about
funny.
You talked about Aegon drinking? What about Otto smacking the piss out of him?
I didn't actually write that down, but Otto did fucking kick and slap him when he
beat the shit out of him, which I laughed. I thought that was hilarious.
It's because Aegon is so annoying that I probably just didn't write it down, but he absolutely kicked the shit out of him when he realized that he was over there fucking drunk, dude. That shit was funny as hell. And I'm glad that you said that. I forgot about it after a while and didn't write it down, but thank you for bringing that shit up, man. That shit was hilarious.
That was one of the best parts of the episode.
It was definitely something fun to see. Another thing I didn't write down, but I remember, is during the funeral, you see Lenore. He's just kind of hanging out in the sea, just sad about his sister's death. And it's really weird that he's like almost drowning himself, just standing in the ocean. He's got to be cold. He's weak. He hasn't eaten. He hasn't drinking anything. So it's a sad sight. And that just goes to show you how much that hammers home when I was saying earlier how alone Rhaenyra really is. Like, her even fake husband can't do his duties at this point because he's so sad about his sister and everything. And he's just, essentially trying to kill himself in the ocean at that point. But jumping back into what we were doing here, we get the scene that you mentioned where Aemon claims Vhagar, and Rhaenys, the queen that never was, by the way, she wants Driftmark to pass to Baela, their granddaughter, and not Lenore. And then after it passes to Lenore, it would go to Luke. But because Rhaenys doesn't really fuck with Rhaenyra that much and knows that the kids don't belong to Lenore, and she knows that Lenore isn't going through a phase, he's just, gay. Like, that's his whole thing. She doesn't want Driftmark, their home, to go to the wrong people. So she's trying to convince her husband. She's trying to convince her husband to let that pass to their granddaughters. And the granddaughter that she wants in particular would have been Baela, which is the daughter of Daemon, who she also doesn't fuck with, but she does fuck with her granddaughters, and she wants it to go to them. And her husband.
That whole situation is a very interesting, like, conundrum. Like, do you choose Daemon's kids, which are of Targaryen and Valyrian blood, so it is the right bloodline to take over Driftmark, Like that's how it should be. It should be their bloodline continuing it, or kind of like dude says, he's like, people don't remember blood; they remember names. Or do you take Rhaenyra's, who are going to have Valerian name until what? Isn't it like until they ascend to the throne or something? Isn't that when it changes to Targaryen to keep that dynasty going?
That's right.
So that's a really interesting conundrum. Do you want to keep your name in command, or do you want to actually keep what is actually your real blood in command? Because there's Targaryen and I don't even remember what's dude's last name that died. The kids.
Strong.
So it's Targaryen and Strong. So I mean, I thought that was like an interesting situation. Like, do you choose blood or do you choose one that has the name, even though you know they're not actually your blood? I thought that was kind of fascinating.
He does. It was fascinating, and he definitely doesn't want to do that. And then we get more of a sense that he's not really doing all this stuff because he thinks his wife would have been a great queen and all that, lord over the realms. He kind of wants that power for himself, and he wants his family name to go on. So we get a lot of that in this scene. So we kind of see where people's loyalties lie and why they do the things they do in that scene. So I really appreciated them adding that into the episode. Then we see Rhaenyra and Daemon walk on the beach at night, which is a parallel to her walking on the beach with Lenore before they got married. I don't know if you caught that, but it's like in reverse. So she's on a different side on this time. She's on a different side of Lenore than she was from Daemon, and it's at night. So it's like a parallel kind of reverse situation going on. And they are telling each other the truth. She tells the truth to Daemon. She tells him that, she has this husband and it's fake, and they tried to conceive a couple of times, but she believes that she didn't conceive because there was no joy in the act of them consummating their marriage the couple of times that they actually tried. So I do like that.
I was honestly surprised that they tried. I didn't really expect that.
That was their duty, right? They had to do it. And then also some of those old things is like people would like wait outside of your room while you were doing your thing too. Like it was to make sure you were doing it. And then sometimes people would watch. Like it was fucking weird back in the days, man, how people did stuff like that. I haven't been married before, so I can't speak to marriage consummations. Like I don't know how that goes. All I know is when the time comes and I get married, dude, like, I don't want to have been partying too hard to not do my thing. And I highly doubt that's going to be the case, but you know how shit is. Anyway, back to the actual story.
You sure you don't want no people outside your room or somebody to pat you on the butt and tell you good job or anything?
None of that.
Okay, just making sure.
None of that.
I mean, we can set up like a Midsommar kind of thing for you. Get like a ritual circle around you and.
Oh God, I gotta watch that movie soon. Actually, it's around that time. She also tells Daemon that Lenore and her Lenore's never around when she needs him to be. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the biggest parts of this episode we'll see play in later. Lenore literally is never around when he needs to be around for his fake family. So that really sucks for her, and that's why she feels so alone all the time. Then we hear that with Harwin, when she was with Harwin Strong, she felt desired. And Daemon knows that Otto or Alicent probably had Harwin killed. He even says that in the episode to Rhaenyra. Like one of them had something to do with it. I don't know to the extent of what they did, but they definitely had something to do with it. So I loved that they show you that Daemon's not a fool, bro. Like
he knew also about Rhaenyra too, which everybody does about Rhaenyra.
Yeah, everybody. That's the worst kept secret.
But he kind of knows like everything. He's pretty on top of shit, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, he told her. If you don't remember, before the time skip, like the same episode where they almost hooked up the first time, he pretty much tells her she needs to be on top of stuff and to understand what people are saying about her so that she can stay on top of the game and play the actual Game of Thrones. So we know that Daemon's a smart dude. He's well read for sure. Then you see Rhaenyra straight up confronts Daemon about leaving her and tells her that her life was shit without him. And he kind of comes back and says, my life hasn't been great either. And then she asks him if she loved Lena. And I don't know if you caught this, but he doesn't actually answer the question.
He says they were happy enough or something like that.
Yeah, instead of saying if he loved her, he says that they were happy enough. And I mean, I think that's the real answer. He didn't answer the question in a yes or no, but he did answer the question, letting her know that he was happy enough with Lena, like he liked her, but he wasn't like in love with her. So I did appreciate the truth in that. I thought that was really nice, especially for Damon's character. And then we also see that they fuck finally. They finally sleep with each other, and I
He
think I don't
buttered
know if you
that
caught this
biscuit.
either. He buttered the shit out of that biscuit, but I don't know if you caught this either. But did you notice that they were having sex in a shipwreck?
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah.
So like, is that foreshadowing for their relationship? It's just a wreck.
Probably. Shit show. Everything's gonna end badly.
It's crazy, man. And then we also see, Damon's back is all scarred up from previous battles, most likely the battle at the Stepstones. So I thought
Speaking
that was a
of
good.
Damon scars and stuff, have you noticed his neck? Does he have a? Mrs. Sin keeps bringing this up. She thinks he has grayscale, and I kind of noticed something on his neck that does kind of look like it. But apparently, she said something about maybe the Targaryens with their blood and everything, like it fights it and makes it a lot slower and not as bad. But there's
I
talk about
can't
him
speak
having
towards
grayscale.
the. I can't speak towards him having grayscale. I don't remember that being in the book, so I have to go back and check. I also don't know. Like I know that Targaryens, because they inbreed a lot, like a lot of the children end up looking a little weird. So, like with Lena's children, like I believe the baby that she did have, but it came out looking lizard like, and then that's when she died and all that stuff later on. But I don't know if he has grayscale. Everybody keeps talking about grayscale this season. Like I've noticed that. Like everybody thought the king had grayscale. Now people think Damon has grayscale. Like I don't know why we're on.
Okay,
Why
so
I don't know
here's
why we're on the grayscale
a
train.
theory. It's something to do with crab feeder. Maybe because of the blood or something of him.
I mean, I wouldn't know, to be
I mean,
honest with
that's
you.
a theory. But I did see that Targaryens are not immune to it. Or at least the ones without dragons aren't. I don't know how to say this dude's name. So one of them died from it, apparently. So there we go. I don't know. It's a theory we keep seeing. I did see something. It could be like burning or some kind of scarring on his neck, but there's something on his neck. So next episode, look, it's like one side of it. There is something going on there. I don't know what it is.
I mean, I don't know, dude. Like I said, that I'm not really prescribing to that, but I mean, if it happens, it happens. I just don't foresee that necessarily happening the way that people are saying. I think, it's easy to look for these things and see whatever to happen, but I didn't notice it. I could be wrong though. Who knows? So we'll see in the following episodes for sure. But I'm glad you brought that up. That's a cool little theory that people have. So it's nice to hear that. And then we see later on, like moving back on into the show, we see that Bela and Rhaena, along with Jace, confront Aemon after claiming Vhagar, who was supposed to be claimed by Rhaena. Like that was supposed to be the dragon she claimed after her mom died. So she's rightfully pissed. Rightfully pissed. And apparently Aemon's just a fucking gangster now, so he fights everybody off by himself. And then he threatens to bash Luke's head in with a rock, telling him that Jace will burn in flames just like his father did. And then that's when we realize like Luke doesn't know the truth at this point. Jace pulls out a fucking knife because he's had enough. And then Jace throws sand in Aemon's face, and Luke slashes his fucking eye out. He slashed that whole goddamn eye out. So the prophecy that Helena had comes true at this point, and also he gets his comeuppance because Aemon just literally became a fucking asshole, like really quick. So that I mean, I don't know how you feel about that scene, but that I thought the little kitty fight that they were having was pretty fun.
Yeah.
And then it ended with somebody getting their eye cut out. So what were you thinking? Did you think somebody was going to die? Did you think somebody was going to get maimed when that scene was happening?
I mean, when he pulled a knife, I was like, "There's no way he's actually going to get to like kill somebody." Like, I just don't see him killing one of them now. I thought it was a good scene though. I did like it. I like the dude lost an eye because Aemon's gonna look pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie, with an eye patch, with the white hair or silver hair or whatever, riding this big ass dragon. It was a good scene though. I also think
It was,
the
man.
girls, dude, the one come up and she threw a hell of a punch. I was like, yes, I was so satisfied
She
with that.
did. She punched the. She actually got the best
Dude, she
hit out
lit
of
him up.
everybody.
When she swung, I was like, damn. One
That's
thing
that
though,
Damon coming out, man.
I kind of like, I don't know. Eamon has a point. He's like, you didn't claim it, the dragon. I mean, I guess she probably should have. I know she's mourning, and she, it should have been expected. But he was kind of gangster and was like, well, you didn't claim it, so I took that shit.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, not just anybody can claim Vhagar. Vhagar is the biggest dragon in history right now that we know of, and she's had multiple riders just because she's so old. And that dragon is female, by the way, in case listeners didn't know that. But yeah, Vhagar, not anybody can just roll up and claim her. So there's that. But
Vhagar's also the most badass looking dragon, I think, right now.
Yeah. Vhagar's the second most badass looking dragon. The first most badass dragon doesn't exist in the show because.
Well, then you can't say it's badass if it doesn't exist in the show. I'm going off the show.
It should have been because Alicent's supposed to have another kid in this already that has a dragon that I talked about, I think last week. He has a blue dragon. I can't remember the name of this damn dragon right now.
Well, it doesn't exist, so it can't be the most badass. When it exists, then we can talk about it.
Wow, that's how we're doing this now.
I mean, we're talking about the show, not the book.
It's the Blue Queen. That's what it was. Anyway, you're right though. You're right. I mean, I can't argue with that.
Well, I don't know if she's gonna have more kids. At least not with Viserys. I don't see how that would work. I don't see him putting any more babies out there with his current condition.
I don't think he can do anything in his current
he can't. Dude, he's pitiful. It's really sad.
How does he take a piss? Can you?
Dude, he can't do shit.
How does he? Can he take a piss?
I wonder. Jesus. That may have fell off too with his arm. Who knows?
God, that dude is the saddest motherfucker living. Right now.
It's bad.
God damn. Anyway,
also Daemon kind of was like, "Fuck you" to him too at one point. Whenever he's like, "Come back, it's been long enough," and Daemon's like, "No."
I mean, I don't blame him because all of that shit happened to Daemon because
Daemon's been exiled twice.
Like literally. Yeah. Also, Viserys got mad at Daemon for a rumor that he heard from somebody else, and then when Daemon asked for, so here's the thing, man. Had he honored Daemon's request and married those two, the events of the show would be so fucking different right now. Yep. But it doesn't mean they would have been, for the better. Anyway, so we'll keep going because I know we're running out of time here. Moving on though. So after the kitty fight happens and all of that, and the eyeball getting cut out, the Kingsguard commander, I think his name is Harold Westerling. Yeah, Westerling. He breaks up everything. The king gathers everybody in the throne room to ask what happened and to see what's going on. And then obviously we see Alicent's no, not Alicent. What happened at that part? I don't want to skip anything because so much shit happened at the same time. Alicent blames Aegon immediately because he was too drunk to protect his brother.
Yep.
So I remember seeing that, and he's just like, "Me? What did I do?" And she's like, "You were too drunk." So that happens. So we see him getting shit on by everybody for being drunk again, and I thought that was really funny. And that dude's just fucking sad, man.
He's also not done being getting shit on, by the way. He gets shit on yet again here in a minute.
Yeah, dude. The king is told that Jason Luke's fatherhood was, what am I trying to say? His parentage. So the Jace and Luke's parentage came up again, and it was questioned. And it was questioned by Aemon, and Aemon called them bastards, right? So the king hears this. He asks Aemon where he heard it, and that scene was really, really funny because I knew.
Do you see who he looked at first, though? He looked right at Alice and almost like the queen, like mom. Exactly.
And
I was like, shit.
Yeah, he couldn't snitch on his mom because he knew it was going to happen. So he ended up snitching on his brother.
Aegon gets shit on again. He's like, Aegon? Aegon's probably like, what the shit? I'm drunk as shit over here.
He was like, me? What? Like, he couldn't
Grandpa
catch a break.
Slapped the shit out of me, kicked me. Now I'm getting blamed for all kinds of shit. I don't even know what's going on.
This was the one time Aegon was minding his motherfucking business and he got snitched on so hard, dude. It was hilarious. So he got snitched on and he was just like, what do you mean? So the king gets pissed off and asks him where he heard those vile rumors or whatever he says. And then he says like some thugged out shit. He says, everyone knows. Just look at them. And then Alicent demands an eye for an eye. And she asks Sir Kristen to carry out that thing. And I'm pretty sure in the episode, Sir Kristen doesn't actually agree to do that. I'm pretty sure he says no. I might be wrong on that, like, but I'm pretty sure even Sir Kristen was like, "No, I'm not gonna go kill this kid for you. I'm not gonna cut his fucking eyeball out." Like,
Because
that's
Viserys
crazy.
is actively like, it's over, it's done. Like, this whole thing is done, and she's like, no.
Exactly. She's showing her ass at this point. After the king settles everything down, Alicent attacks Rhaenyra with the cat's paw dagger. Nonetheless, Sir Kristen was going to step in, but then Daemon stops him, which was awesome to see.
I love that part.
Yeah, Daemon. Because
this whole time, like,
the whole thing in the
you didn't mention that the whole time all this shit's going down with like all them confronting the kids and trying to find out the story. Daemon is leaned up just watching the world burn. Like, Daemon does so well all the time, and I love it. Like, all this shit's going down, and he's just leaned up watching the show like, okay. And it's not until really nice Sir Kristen comes that he steps in and just stops him like,
I did very much enjoy that, but he definitely stopped her. And I don't know if we're supposed to gather this from what we saw, but what I got from this is that when it comes to just physical prowess, like Rhaenyra is much stronger and much more of a warrior than Alicent would ever be.
Rhaenyra beats the shit out of Alicent. She's way tougher, in my opinion, physically.
I 100% agree. She stopped that from happening, and she kind of held Alicent's hands with the cat's paw dagger in her hand from cutting her, and just kind of talked to her while they were doing that. And I don't know how much of this conversation was supposed to be heard by everybody, because you know how shows do where characters will talk and then for some reason nobody fucking hears it. But it's really cool. It's a standoff, and I really enjoyed that. And then Rhaenyra says, "It must be exhausting hiding beneath the cloak of your own righteousness." And I loved all of that because, dude, Alicent's a fucking asshole. So I really liked her getting told in that scene what was going on. Now everyone can see you for who you really are, is what she tells Alicent. And then when she says that pisses Alicent off. So she slashes her forearm and cuts her. And when she does that, everybody's real shocked because she's like, "Oh my God, you just cut the princess. You just cut our future ruler because you were pissed off." So now everybody knows that Alicent is flawed. She's not super righteous like she pretends to be, and that she's just like everybody else playing the Game of Thrones. So I really, really enjoyed that fall of her character there. That was excellent to see, and it was definitely one of the best scenes in the episode by far.
And Rhaenyra doesn't flinch either. She gets cut and blood's running down her arm, and she's just standing there looking at her. Like, Rhaenyra's kind of a badass sometimes.
She is a badass. Not only does she fucking stand up and walk across the damn world when she just popped a baby out, bleeding still, she also took this cut like a fucking gangster because she is one, and I love that. And then Aemon says that he may have lost an eye, but he gained a dragon, which Otto would agree to later on when he's talking to Alicent in private. So we see that.
A very strong, powerful dragon.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the biggest, strongest dragon that exists at the moment. 1,000 times worth the price that he paid. Like, if he died for that dragon, it still would have been worth it. But then nobody could ride it. So blah, 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 blah. But anyway, so yeah, man, Otto's super happy because now they have the biggest dragon and all that. So everybody's happy for it. Otto also tells her that he's happy that she fought for her place. He's super proud of her and his own fucked up manipulating way, his gaslighting way. He tells her that he's proud of her. So she's kind of happy to be in her father's good graces again at that point. Then we see Laenor. He shows up late again, saying that he'll do his best. He'll send Sir Carl away, and that he'll be the best husband that he can be, and that he's going to completely devote himself to her.
Do you like when he shows up, his dreads are down, like he's been drinking and just having a good time?
I mean, that's what I look like when I come home late.
You know what I'm talking about, though? Like, whenever he's, like, proper and he's, like, doing his husband duties, dreads are pulled back all nice and neat. Whenever he comes in, dreads are down wild as shit. Just tipsy, having fun. It's like, oh, I'm late. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, but that goes to what I was talking about earlier. Like, he's never around.
No.
Rhaenyra constantly feels alone. He doesn't perform any of his husbandly duties, like, whatsoever. He wants to recommit all of a sudden because all this shit's happened, but it's too fucking late. So we see that the king's family leaves, and Alicent's what does she do? She tries to apologize to Viserys for everything that happened, but he doesn't give a fuck at this point. He doesn't care, and he tells her not to speak of it again because he's in pain, and he's really pissed off that she made a fucking ass of herself and tried to fucking kill his daughter. So he's not having it. And she doesn't really need the king in her good graces. She's just doing that because that's what Otto told her to do. Like, Otto runs the shit anyway. But like, she's just doing it because that's what he told her to do, and it doesn't work. But we already know as viewers and as readers of the book that Viserys isn't long for this fucking world anyway. So she's only got to put up with his shit for a little bit longer anyway. And then we see Rhaenyra telling Daemon that she can't face the Greens alone. And that's the first time that she refers to the Hightowers as the Greens in the show. So I really liked that. And she also says that they should get married. And then Daemon says that they can't get married because of Lenore. And he has a plan for that about Lenore. And we're led to believe that the plan is to just kill him off. And we find out more about that here in a few minutes, but Daemon pays Sir Carl to aid in faking Lenore's death. I don't know if you caught this. When I first watched it, I didn't catch it at first because I wasn't used to seeing Lenore bald. But well, I'll get into it here in just a minute. But he makes sure that there's a witness.
Yeah, that's one thing. He's like, we make sure we have a witness. Like, he actively says that in the conversation. I was like, that's kind of a weird request if you're going to murder somebody, that you have a witness.
But it makes perfect sense.
It does, yeah, once you see the events. But yeah.
So they start a fight with each other. Sir Carl actually starts the fight and pretends to kill Lenore, which we think is real at the time, and even has a fake body in place to be burned so that they can't identify the body. And then Daemon tells Rhaenyra before this plan is carried out that it's going to suck for Rhaenys and Lenore's dad. I can't think of Corlys is his name. It's going to suck for Rhaenys and Corlys because they're going to think that they lost, their children.
They essentially killed their name, by the way.
They did.
Like, there will be no
100%.
actual Valerian heirs now.
Yeah, and it's sad for them for sure, but it's kind of what Lenore wanted anyway, and it's what Daemon and Rhaenyra need to make this work. So they burn the fake body, and then Sir Carl escapes with a new shaven Lenore to live in peace, and they have money. They're going to go to a place where they can start a new life, and they're gone now. They're out the game. They don't have to play the Game of Thrones anymore. They can be who they actually want to be, lovers, and they're doing their thing. And then we see that Lenore's parents are heartbroken over this, but Rhaenyra marries her uncle Daemon in a private ceremony. The only people there are the Maester and their children that witness this. And then we see that Larys offers to balance the scales, an eye for an eye. Alicent actually denies this, but says that she will need him soon. So he says that he'll wait for her call because he knows that she's going to ask him to do some shady shit. He's going to do it, and she's going to have to reward him for that later. So we see that the episode started and ended with the sounds of the ocean. And that's my recap for the episode.
So I have a prediction, and it may be way off. And this obviously is no spoiler because we've been talking about Viserys' declining health. I think season 1 ends with Viserys. I think the final episode of Viserys passes away. And I think, because I believe that is the final spark that will set off this war, because then it will be officially, right now there's no dispute for who the king is. Viserys is the king. There's no way around it. But I think once he goes, with the way Alicent's playing, trying to get Aegon to be king, and then obviously Rhaenyra's the heir, I think that will be the final spark, and I think that in season 1 and season 2 we'll have the ensuing battle, which I think is called Dance of the Dragons or something, right? Between the Greens and the Blacks, which Greens is Hightower, Blacks is Targaryens.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how it ends. I think his death will be the final episode, because obviously he's not going to make it to season 2. His health has declined rapidly over the last several episodes, and it's just getting worse and worse where he's barely functioning. If he makes it that far,
true. We're gonna get
three more episodes.
I believe there's 2 episodes left, and he's I'm pretty sure that that's right. I mean, they kind of telegraphed that with how things are going. He's either going to
Yeah. I
die
mean,
the
that's a
last or
good
the second
cliffhanger though.
Carcinogen.
Like, oh shit, he's dead. What's gonna happen now? Actually, I want to say more, but I don't want to say spoilers because I did kind of look to see. I was curious about lineage and like how many kings and stuff, so I kind of saw what's coming, but I don't want to say spoilers, obviously, right now. So I'm just gonna say I think Viserys' death is what's gonna go down. That's my prediction.
I mean, all I know is that makes sense because for the book readers like myself, we know that once Viserys dies, the actual war starts between the blacks and the greens. So that's when that happens.
I think that's gonna be pretty epic if done right. Hopefully, they've made enough money on season 1 that they can invest a lot more for sweet dragon fights and all kinds of shit that's gonna go down.
Hell yeah, man. Well, that's all I got for the episode. I kind of sprinkled in some book knowledge as well when I was talking about the episode itself, and
Have you
because
read all
we're
of this
about
section of the book?
not all of it, no.
I'm gonna be working on reading it as I get free time. Like I gotta find this section because I really have enjoyed this. Like I said, this is my favorite episode so far. But I've enjoyed the series. Like every episode has been really good. And I'm excited, genuinely excited to watch each episode. So it's been fun. But another fantastic analysis, sir. I appreciate you going in depth for us. That was fun. It was a fun episode. And it's time. It's time to wrap this thing up. But before we wrap it up,
Pass the whiskey.
Pass that whiskey.
Whiskey!
Because it's the last call.
I actually have a last call question that I just thought about, and I wanted to ask you and get your opinion on it.
I mean, he didn't even let me get all the way in the last call. I'm trying to announce to all the patrons, but okay. If you're chomping at the bit that much, what do you got for us? So, last call question from Christian this week.
Yeah, this is what I have. Obviously, we're both big fans of horror, and we know that there are, plenty of horror icons out there. You got your Freddys, your Chuckies, your Michaels, your Jasons, you got all Ghostface, all kinds of people.
Yep.
But and we may have talked about this on pod before, and forgive me if this is a repeat, but I wanted to know, for you personally, out of all the horror icons that you can think of, which one actually scared you the most and why? Like, why was this particular horror icon the scariest for you? Which one of them gave you the nightmares? Which one of them had you staying up at night? Which one of them did you see in the shadows when there was nothing there? Which one would you most hate to see? Like, that kind of thing. Like, which one really got under your skin the most, and why was that?
So, I will say, especially as an adult, none of them faze me. I'm desensitized. As a kid, it will be one you would never, ever guess. That it didn't give me nightmares. I can never say that I actually had nightmares about any, like, particular horror character. I'm very weird. As an adult, I had, like, this vivid zombie dream. And I woke up and I was like, damn, that was badass. That would be such a cool movie. Like, I didn't even wake up scared. Like, I was sweaty because I was running, apparently, in my sleep. So, God knows what I was doing, like, in bed. Probably, like, flailing around like an idiot. But I was like sprinting. I woke up. I was like, damn, that was pretty badass. I can't say they actually gave me nightmares, but one that always creeped me out was something I saw on a poster. It was a movie poster in a old movie store that was in a grocery store. Like they had a movie area, like where you could rent movies and stuff, like VHSs and stuff back then. And there was a movie poster for Leprechaun. And for some reason, I think it's actually, I don't know if it's Leprechaun 1.
That's the one with the.
It's one with a shadow. Like he's standing and it's a long shadow kind of thing. I'm trying to find which one it is.
Pretty sure that's the first one.
Is it the first one? But it was like,
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was something about that. Like I would always look at that poster and just kind of be like, yeah, I think it is Leprechaun. He's peeking through a door or something. And I was just like, why does he look so creepy? For some reason, I don't know why that would always kind of, as a kid, like a young kid, I don't know.
It's valid. I get that.
What about you? Did you have one?
Yeah, I did. So, I mean, when I was a kid, I had to this day, actually, I have a super, super vivid, active imagination. And when I dream very vividly and very actively as well. So, all of the horror icons, I'm pretty sure I had a dream about each one of them at some point. But the one that got me the most, the one that actually got under my skin, the one that scared me the most, the one that kept me up was definitely Michael Myers. And there's a couple reasons for that. So like with Freddy, with Freddy, the reason why he didn't scare me as much because he talked a lot, right? And that made him way less scary to me. And also, it was in my dreams, and in your dreams, usually, like if you're thinking about it, if you can control your dreams a little bit, then you kind of do your thing. So there was that. So he scared me because his powers were cool, but like he just wasn't scary in general to me. Um, Chucky was kind of scary because he's just so fucking little, dude. Like he could get into places you wouldn't think of. You know what I'm saying? He could legitimately be under your fucking bed. He could be in your closet. He could be hanging out in your fucking shower when you're going to take a shit in your most vulnerable moments. You know what I'm saying? Like he could be anywhere. So he was creepy to me, but he didn't keep me up. Michael kept me up because one, he didn't talk. Two, his mask was just blank. It was this emotionless face. You couldn't see
Best
his
mask
eyes. I agree. You couldn't see his eyes at all, so that really got me. And like he never ran. Like even Jason ran right in the earlier films, but he doesn't run now. But like Michael just really freaked me out, and I think it's the same reason why some people are afraid of clowns. Because their faces don't match up because they typically look too happy and their faces are pale white, so it makes the expressions even more expressive, if you will. And that's kind of why Michael scared me, because there's nothing there. I couldn't tell what he was looking at, what he was thinking about, what he was going to do, and it just really creeped me out. And he never made any noise in all the films. Like he barely made any noise whatsoever, unless you could hear him breathing through the mask. But other than that, man, it just really freaked me out. He was always in the shadows, and he has the perfect kind of get up to constantly be perfectly hidden in the shadows. As long as he wasn't out in broad daylight walking around, you couldn't see the fucker. So that really got me when I was younger, man. And he fucked me up. And then I'll tell you this really quickly before we leave here. The first time I watched Halloween 2, I didn't know what to do with my life, because the original Halloween 2 from the 80s, man, he goes to the hospital and just takes everybody out in the hospital until he gets to Laurie. And I used to think like the hospital is the safest place you can be aside from a police station. And that wasn't the case in that film. So that really fucked me up when I was younger. But things have changed now. Like none of this stuff really scares me now. I just really enjoy watching it. And Halloween 2 is one of my secret favorite films, or at least horror films, because of how I felt the first time I watched it, the nostalgia of it. I actually got a Halloween 2 mug I'm drinking out of right now. And I love it, man. It's one of my favorite items that I own right now. But anyway, that's what got me the most. And thanks for asking.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that was a good question. Thank you for that, sir. We appreciate it. And if anybody out there listening would like to have their question featured on the last call portion of the show, be sure to hit us up on social media. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Sippin With Sin, SIPPIN with Sin. Send us a DM on there with your last call question. Just put last call question and then your question. Would love to have it featured. Or you can join the Gilded server, gilded.gg/Sinister Pack. In the application, just put I'm from the podcast. And then there is a whole section dedicated to Sippin With Sin. We have stuff from our socials, the episode chat, topics, suggestions, what you've been drinking on. Show us your beverage. And last call questions, as well as Sinister Tales. You can also post them there if you have a personal horror story or something you'd like to share, a scary experience maybe you and a friend or somebody had, or something you found on the internet, a scary story, and things that go bump in the night kind of deal. We love to feature them and talk about them as well. But like I said, follow us on social media. Don't forget, every Wednesday, new episode at 8 a.m. Central Time. They come out on Apple, Spotify, Google, Overcast, Anchor.fm, all the audio platforms. Go check it out. Rate it 5 stars. Subscribe to it. Follow it. Show it some love. Share it with a friend. We would greatly appreciate it. Let's continue to grow the audience. And the video version comes out on my personal YouTube, youtube.com/IamSinister, every Wednesday at 8 a.m. also. So if you rather watch the video version in the background and listen to the podcast, there you go. You can check it out, and you can see Christian's lovely static image right here. And you can follow me. You can follow my personal social media. I'd love to hear from you. Talk about spooky things or whatever with us. I stream full time, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sinister. IamSinister TV, excuse me. And then you can find me streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/IamSinisterTV. You can find me on Facebook, fb.gg/IamSinisterTV, and then TikTok Live at IamSinister TV. And fun story, as of time of recording this week, we can now get subscriptions and subs on TikTok. So it's a new thing we have. So come over there and check out our TikTok live. We'd love to have you. And yeah, that's where you can find me. And be sure to show the podcast some love. Like I said, rated 5 stars. Go show Christian some love as well. Horrorverse. I'm sure he'll talk about it. And Christian, where can the lovely folks find you?
So I'm actually going to do it a little bit different. I'm not going to plug my own personal social media. I want to plug the socials for my podcast, as you just mentioned, and that is at Horrorverse Pod on all social media platforms. Just follow us at Horrorverse Pod. I would love to see you guys come over and hang out. I would love to see you guys ask me some questions, movie suggestions, anything you guys got. Please let me know at Horrorverse Pod on all the socials. That would be fantastic. That's where you guys can find me. I am the most active on those socials, and I would love to see you.
And we've been posting and retweeting and sharing some of the stuff from those socials. So definitely go show them some love. Spread over there. Tell them you're coming from Sippin With Sin if you have to. And let them know, that you're coming over from this podcast. And show some love to Christian and him and his partner on their new podcast as well. But that's going to do it. It's time we shut it down. You don't have to go home, but you got to go the hell out of here. We will see you guys next week for yet another episode. And you know what time it is. It's time for Christian to shut this damn thing down.
Thank you guys for tuning in to yet another episode of Sipping with Sin. Be sure to leave a 5-star review, smash that like button, and leave your recommendations in the comments section below. But most importantly, guys, don't get gutted.
See you guys next week.